Hello everyone, my name is El Parnaso, and for today's video I'm going to talk about Forbidden Droplet in the pure Yami deck. Now, if you already seen some of my videos before, especially the Yami ones, you may see that I almost never play this card. If never. For example, any of my Yami videos include Forbidden Droplet at all. So today I'm going to try to explain a little bit about why. So first, you need to remember and understand that the Yami deck, even though there are combos and blah blah blah, is a resource deck. So every single card that you have needs to take the most value that you can, because as you can see, when it's all said and done, these are just level 1 monsters with 1000 or lower attack. So they need to function in a systematic way in order to take the actual advantage of the cards, right? And the problem with Droplet is that Droplet will never, under any circumstance, be a card that will work or will fulfill any function that you put the card in it by itself. And this is a big issue for the deck, because as you can see, I'm trying to make each and every single card on my deck work by itself, unless it's not extremely necessary, like the bricks, the two field spells, the other brick, the quick spell, and the driver. Every other single card works, at least by the function that I'm trying to put on the card, by itself. So it's very, very complicated for me, but for the nature of this deck, or for the nature in general of a lot of level 1 decks, to make Forbidden Droplet work. And remember, the cards that you're losing by the cost of Droplet is different than any other card that you have that involves a cost. For example, yes, the hamster makes you discard one card, but generates a card because you're special summoning a monster. Yes, the Capsy Way also makes you discard one card, but is because you are adding 2 cards from the deck to your hand. So there's always a +1 interaction, or at least a justified interaction when it comes to how many cards you're gonna have before and the end of the resolution of your cards. And Droplet is very different, because you're not going to have more cards in any scenario when you are activating Droplet. So maybe some specific ones, right? Like you activate Obedience, your opponent makes the Dracotail Trap, and you cause the Obedience to Droplet anything. Yeah, but look at how much assumptions we need to make in a duel in order to make Droplet a good card when it comes to resources. And when it comes to this deck, and usually most of level 1 decks, this being a resource deck, needs a really big justification in order to put Forbidden Droplet in the deck. Now, I know that maybe you want some other perspective regarding this level 1 use of Forbidden Droplet. So I bring again one of the experts I know when it comes to level 1 monsters. This guy right here. Now, obviously, again, he has some kind of authority when it comes to level 1 monsters, because he achieved this trophy with Snake Eyes. Now, I was talking with him about this level 1 deck, because he actually played Forbidden Droplet, as you can see. But he only played one, so I was just discussing with him how the justification for this was. And he told me, well, he agreed with me in the idea that Forbidden Droplet most of the time is not justifiable in a resource deck like a level 1 deck usually is, like a Snake Eye was, just like Yami is. But when you are in a specific meta, not only when the card is very useful, like as you can see, other card like Droplet was here too, the Dark Ruler no more, right? So if not allowing your opponent to not respond with monsters to their effect, or maybe or spells maybe, is something very relevant in the meta when it comes to negate monsters, you can consider an exception for Droplet, but it's not an enough of a justification. He told me that there was 2 mainly scenarios when added together can justify Droplet in a level 1 resource deck, and it is when going second, you need to avoid cards that make target effects when it comes for your cards to try to resolve. Only and only if you're valuing more the effect of the monster that you're summoning than the monster staying on the field. For example, if you're going second with the Snake Eyes deck, obviously you want the Snake Eye to be able to add the Poplar more than having the Snake Eye on the field, right? Therefore, if for example you are going second, you make normal Ash effect and your opponent makes Imperv or Veiler, which basically everyone was playing 3 of, you can change the Droplet to negate something of the Ember of your opponent and having the big plus of dodging the Veiler or dodging the Impermanence or anything else, right? So when you have those two scenarios together, when Forbidden Droplet is very impactful in the meta, and you rather have your level 1 monsters or your starter monsters to resolve rather than stay on the field, you can justify the use of Droplet in your deck. And even then, you need to consider how much you are sacrificing by putting it, because of the need of these kind of decks to make every single card useful, right? In order to take the advantage of their own nature, the resource nature. So here, for example, he decided only to play 1 because he already have other cards to consider for that specific meta that do kind of the same of Droplet by themselves. For example, that ruler can be respawned by monsters and also negate monsters on the field. And most importantly, in the side deck, he already played and decided to play 2 enemy controllers as a miracle for that Continental Championship right here. So he already have cards that allow him to dodge the targeting effects going second and disrupting the endboard of its opponent at the same time. Plus, the enemy controller is not once per turn, so drawing 2 can be more useful than drawing 2 droplets, and therefore he rather have only 1 with 2 enemy controllers in the side deck and the rulers, 1 in the main deck, 1 in the side deck, and a lot more, yeah? Because as you can see, there's a droplet also in the side deck and blah blah blah. But just for the purposes of Yami purposes, the thing that this level 1 expert can teach us is that yes, Forbidden Droplet almost all the time is not going to be viable in a resource deck like a level 1 deck usually is. But if you value your monsters resolving their effects than staying on the field, and Forbidden Droplet is a very impactful card in the meta, you can consider it. Now, those two things are not happening right now. A lot of the time, the use that you can have for Droplet can be given by Chalice. I will make another video about it. Also, the other consideration, you almost always, if not always, going to value more having a Yami name on the field than their effects resolving. You rather have your Capsi to stay on the field than adding a card, because this guarantee you the Snatchy, which guarantee 2 other cards, which guarantee blah blah blah, right? The same with the effect of the attack and blah blah blah. So as you can see, those other 2 scenarios that together needs to happen in order to consider a so risky card when it comes to advantage of resources like Forbidden Droplet right here are not fulfilled neither by the meta, neither by the Yami cards. So that is why I haven't been using the Forbidden Droplet. However, if you consider to use it, I will advise you just to use 1, because you are already playing disruptor cards going second that are very impactful for like talents, like Trust, and even you consider cards like the Colby or the Pancratops. So whatever interruption the Droplet is going to exchange with your opponent, it may be fulfilled by those cards too. Maybe in a specific different way, but fulfilled at the end of the day, right? So maybe you don't want to risk the fact that you need to depend always in having to cost other cards that may be useful to try to actually play the game, and also not to risk the fact that this is a once per turn card. So if you draw 2 of them, you can only use 1, so it's very tough. So you rather draw Forbidden Droplet and Trust than two droplets, right? So, or you rather draw one droplet and one Pancra than two Pancras or two droplets, right? So always try to have these kind of things to consider. And well, that was me talking a little bit about Forbidden Droplet and why I'm not considering to play it in the pure Yami deck. If you want me to discuss any other card or maybe some issues you've been having with Yami, you let me know in the comments, you give me a like, you give me maybe your subscription, and share it if you like it because videos are still coming every day. Thank you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow.